This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Get this, adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/iHeart. Greenlight.com/iHeart.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
The late legendary, I don't know why they say like the late John Belushi. He's not late, he's never showing up. The late legendary John Belushi, and it ain't over until it's over on lead vocals. That's Jefferson Starship. It's time to, I was going to say it's time to draw a line in the sand, but this isn't beach volleyball. So I guess you'd use a carpenter's pencil and draw a line on the hardwood is what you would do. You know what a carpenter's pencil is, tend to be? They're those flat wooden pencils. You ever seen those?
Yeah.
I wonder why they're a carpenter's pencil. Why does a carpenter? These are the things that keep me up at night. Why is a carpenter's pencil flat like that? You ever try to do your homework doing they say number two. You have to do the test with a number two.
I always thought that was bizarre.
Yeah.
Why it had to be a number 2 pencil?
Because the number 1 is too light. It had to be number 2. But could you use a carpenter's pencil for that? I don't think it would work quite the same. It would be very difficult to fill in a little bit of that circle.
And how many numbered pencils are there?
That's a good
question.
question.
Do we stop at 2?
I think it goes to 3, I think, but I don't know. That's a hell of a question. Wrong one. I wanted to do this. I'll have to think about this for a while. There's a lot of negativity out there, too. There's people that are saying, no, it's over. It's just, with
that attitude.
But I get it. I mean, no, I do get it, though. You must admit. I mean, it goes back to, and, I'll preface this long, rambling dissertation, much of which was lifted from the book of Deuteronomy, Joshua Judges. Just because something has never happened before or has always happened doesn't mean it's never going to happen or will happen. For instance, other than the Twins and Lynx and the Frost, we just don't win world championships. That doesn't mean we can't, but I think people get beaten down by it and do the old, it's the same old. It's not. It has nothing to do with being based in Minnesota. I don't believe. I mean, some people believe there's a jinx, but it's just the idea that we've never really experienced it. So why would we expect it to be any different? And 3-1 is very daunting. I don't think there's any question about that. But as Rosen said yesterday, this is the kind of analysis I picture from Rosen. You can't think about the next game. You have to take them one at a time. That's what he said yesterday. And I took notes. I wrote that because I'd never heard
I'd never thought about that. I was thinking to myself, how do we win 3 in a row?
Well, that's it.
And he
basically
simplified it, shortened it up a little bit.
You can't think about the next 2. You can only think about the one ahead of you. I just gave
I'm not even thinking about the 1:30 segment right now. I'm all in on the 12 o'clock segment.
Nordo wrote this down when I said he can use this. Nobody beats Father Time. And he said, I've never heard that before. So he wrote that down. He's going to use that. And then he said to me, I'll give you one you can use. And I said, what you got? He goes, Father Time is undefeated. And I said, I like that. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper with my number 2 carpenter's pencil is what I did. So Yeah, back against the wall, it's gut check time. You use any cliche you want. This text message kind of sums it up. It says, 3 hours of Wolves cheerleading or Wolves hand-wringing? I'd be more hand-wringing. I mean, look, I'm all in. I'd love to see it. But I just think that Thunder team is, we're good too, but they've got a little something extra, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just Shea. I don't know, but I think that 10 deep does help them.
I think it's their defense.
Yeah, their defense too.
Even though we put up a lot on them last game, still.
They're and Ant said it, they're high energy start to finish. Not all teams are, including our club. We're not always high energy start to finish. One of the sound bites at the beginning said we have to stave off that early rush. Much like the Wolves, when it was 2-0 and they got it back here, they came out, breathing fire, and there was nothing the Thunder could do about it. So the Thunder then just said, okay, let's bring the troops back and live to play another day. And one of the sound bites, I don't know which player it was, said we have to fend up at home. They're going to come out with a lot of energy. We got to somehow stave that off and just make sure they don't overwhelm us and get out to a big, 20-point lead that's not insurmountable, as we've seen. I mean, again, matter of fact, the Wolves against the Thunder earlier in the year, now it was regular season, I get that, but they came back from a 20-plus point deficit. But you get to postseason play, you can whittle away at 20. You get down 18, 20 points early, it's hard to get back into a game because you could have your run. And we saw it. The Wolves made several. It wasn't for lack of effort in game 4 for the Wolves. It wasn't for lack of effort. They pushed hard, but the Thunder answered back almost every time. If the Wolves made a bucket, well, then guess what? The Thunder made a bucket, and and it just went back and forth that way. Both teams, their shooting percentages, I don't have them in front of me right now, but they were both remarkable. They both were, and some players weren't shooting very well, including Randall, and even Shea took. Was he 13 of 30?
13 of 30.
Yeah, 13 of 30. And I told somebody, I was talking to one of the sales guys, and when he told me that number, I said, well, that can't be right. Because it feels like he makes everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going, well, that can't be 13 for 30. Can you check that again? And he looked it up, and sure enough, it was 13
Well, it felt like it was more because all of his misses were rebounded by his own team, and then they'd keep possession, and then they would score on that possession still.
I guess you're right. And anyway, we'll do some hand-wringing. We might do a little cheerleading. It's going to be a very fast-paced, helter-skelter kind of a show today. We're expecting a couple of news conferences that we could duck into at any time. Vikings are doing their OTAs, so JJ, the new JJ, not Jets, but JJ McCarthy is expected to speak to the assembled media, as is Kevin O'Connell. So we hope to have those. Bryant Oak, Rock Talk, legendary guitarist, singer-songwriter Rick Derringer passed away at the age of 77. One of my all-time favorites. If you don't know about Rick Derringer, you're going to when we're done with the Rock Talk. Trust me. And I think it'll be worth listening to. Rosenet, too, and much more to get to here on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Unlock smarter learning with Lenovo AI-powered PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Head to Lenovo.com and choose from multiple devices to fit your passions. If you're a gamer, you can spend less time stressing about GPUs and CPUs and more time dominating with your AI-enabled Smart Engine, which optimizes your game performance in real time. Or maybe you're a scientist on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery and need a device with a longer battery life and AI-enhanced tools to give you extra time to finish your research. Or you're a musician preparing for your biggest break and need better, faster AI tools to make digital art a breeze, like creating band posters and t-shirt designs. Or you're a soon-to-be graduate needing to catch a recruiter's eye to land that dream job, so you need cutting-edge smart tools to build your portfolio from scratch. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers get 5% off with an education account on Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Yeah.
Farm Aid 40 is coming to Minneapolis. Join Willie Nelson, Neil Young, Dave Matthews, and more Saturday, September 20th
and Joe Bonamassa.
Saturday, September 20th at Huntington Bank Stadium. Celebrate 40 years of music, food, and family farming. Tickets on sale May 16th. That was 12 days ago. Get the full details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Guitar virtuoso Joe Bonamassa. Metallica. Joe Bonamassa. So here we be, a lot of different ways to get a hold of us. Don't bother trying the phone. We never answer. I don't even think we have a working phone number anymore, but it's 1-800-320-5326. Email booth@kfan.com. The talkback's 30 seconds to deliver an audio message of the iHeartRadio app. Search stations, find the fan, microphone icon, click it, start yapping. And then there's the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line at 64686. This one says, and I agree. It's hard for me to argue. It says, too controversial to talk about how many numbered pencils there are. They don't think we should walk down that trail, and we won't. I did find out.
We're in dividing times right now. Divisive.
You learn something new every day, Tenney, but you know why a carpenter's pencil is flat? So that it doesn't roll away when you're working.
Sure.
Yeah, that only makes sense to me. I hadn't thought about that.
Makes a lot of sense.
But then if you had a pencil and you're in grade school and it's on your desk, couldn't it roll away as well?
Yeah, they should all be flat.
I think they should all be flat is what they should do. And does
or at least maybe like a triangle shape.
Does anybody use a pencil anymore? I use a pencil for one thing and one thing only. Well, two things. To fill out a scorecard at a golf course and then for crossword puzzles. My old man used to do crossword puzzles with an ink pen. He was pretty confident. I can't do that because if you write it down in ink and then find out it's wrong, you can't get rid of it. And then you got to try to, when you do find out the correct word, you got to kind of write it. It just doesn't work. So I can't do it. I'm not good enough for that. So that's called Peek at the Pencils, brought to you by Affordable Electric. No, it's Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Don't forget, May is Electrical Safety Month. Affordable Electric, to remind you that safety starts at home and at your business. Their licensed electricians are ready to help with safety inspections, surge protection, panel upgrades, and more. If you need any electrical needs, why don't you check them out? Affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is, oh boy, that feels good. Shockingly affordable. Tenney, you discovered this for me on NFL.com. I appreciate you helping me with the prep work today. NFL.com, one of their writers, a gentleman by the name of Eric Edholm, does nice work. This is analysis. It's under the category of analysis. So he's analyzing is what he's doing. Then we're going to analyze what he's analyzing.
Sure.
And it says top 10 most complete NFL teams for 2025. Who are the most well-rounded squads? And Tenney, as you would expect, the top 10 is filled with teams that were pretty good last year.
That makes sense.
Or really good, including your Philadelphia Eagles, because they are the world champions. And he writes, they incurred free agent losses this offseason, befitting of a big game champion and a franchise that has won 45 games, including playoffs over the past 5 years, or past 3 years. That's a lot of wins. Yet even with some departures, primarily on the defensive side, the team remains set to compete for a title again, thanks to the brilliant craftsmanship of GM Howie Roseman. The Ravens are at number 2, followed by the Motor City Kitties at number 3. Says one of the line's biggest offseason challenges is implementing 2 new coordinators after Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn earned head coaching jobs. Helping the matter, the talent in Detroit remains very strong. GM Brad Holmes has built one of the best rosters in the league. At number 4, the Kansas City Chiefs. And as long as you've got Patrick Mahomes, I know I'm idolizing and pedestalizing here. I think you're always in the top 10. Doesn't matter what the rest of the squad looks like. Buffalo Bills, number 5. Again, a very talented team that has yet to get to a big game under Josh Allen, but they've been excruciatingly close. And then at number 6, Tennessee, your soon-to-be big game world champion, Minnesota Vikings. Check in at 6 as one of the top 10 most complete teams headed into the season. He writes, it's difficult to precisely place the Vikings, who have a Formula One roster, but a learner's permit driver. I like the way he phrased that. After being sidelined with a knee injury for all of 2024, first-year starting quarterback J.J. McCarthy likely holds the key for this team, which is coming off a 14-win season. But how do you properly rank a talented squad with a QB who has just 30 snaps in a preseason game under his belt? McCarthy's pedigree as a top 10 pick helps boost his floor, as does the fact he's being shepherded by head coach Kevin O'Connell in a talented offense. He's arguably in a better position than any of O'Connell's prior QBs were, buoyed by a stabilized offensive line, a healthy Hawkinson, and an ideal 1-2 punch at receiver with Jets and Jordan Addison. Jordan Mason might also be a sneaky big addition to the backfield to Aaron Jones. The defense has a front seven capable of controlling games. Most members of last year's strong crew return. And the additions of Hargrave and Allen make it harder to double anyone up front. The secondary is the biggest concern, potentially counting on players such as Isaiah Rodgers and Theo Jackson for expanded roles. If everything comes together, Brian Flores could have another strong defense. The special teams also could be a cause for worry. So this is by no means a perfect group. But Minnesota didn't go 14-3 with all 3 losses to playoff teams via smoke and mirrors. The Vikings made a strong push this offseason to surround McCarthy with a great infrastructure, and they have one of the better NFL rosters because of it. And we can build this thing together, standing strong forever. I tend to agree with what he's wrote there. And the question marks, obviously the biggest is always health, right? I mean, we saw it with the Kitties lost one of the best edge rushers in football for the entire season last year. Now it didn't hurt them too terribly bad, I guess, because they went 15-2. And, of course, they did get upset in the first round of the playoffs. But injuries are always number one. And then just, not just injuries, but can players who have played, it's in every sport. The players that had a really good year for you, can they continue to play at that level or better? Some take a step back. And then you don't know if, the big question marks are I think are the 2 offensive linemen that the Vikings added. They're coming, or was it the defensive players? I was the defensive players coming off injuries, right?
One of the offensive linemen was as well.
Yeah, okay. So
he was out for the year.
You have players that have proven they can play in the National Football and play at a very high level, but again, they're coming off major injuries, and will some of them are, and will that hamper their ability to get back to where they were? We'll find out. Most guys seem to be able to at least play at a pretty high level. So yeah, I would say top 10 for sure when you talk about complete teams. And I think he's spot on that the quarterback situation is really, I think everybody likes him. He was a winner everywhere he's been, but again, until you actually play in regular season games, it's hard to tell. Rounding out that top 10, by the way, Tampa Bay at 7, the Green Bay Packers at number 8, the Niners at number 9, and the Denver Broncos at 10. So 3 of the NFC North teams in the top 10. We talked about it, Tennessee. The NFC North looks to be very strong. I do expect the Bears, of course, we've said this about the Bears before, but with Caleb Williams, with potentially an offensive line that will provide him better protection, if Ben Johnson can take his masterful work as an offensive coordinator to the head coaching job, that team should be pretty good too. They should be improved, so that should make the Central tough. Much like the AL Central, we've talked about that. We got 4 really good teams there, so it should be interesting. But I think the Vikings are probably in that spot. And if you're a Viking fan, again, it's just one man's opinion, but I think there are others that would tend to agree with him. Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. For all of your electrical needs, visit affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. Remember, we could take a quick left or right entrance ramp anytime we're expecting press conferences with Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy sometime between now and the end of the Grum, so we'll do what we can with that. Short break, back with a little dis, dat, lat here on The Fan.
Unlock smarter learning with Lenovo AI-powered PCs powered by Intel Core Ultra processors. Head to Lenovo.com and choose from multiple devices to fit your passions. If you're a gamer, you can spend less time stressing about GPUs and CPUs and more time dominating with your AI-enabled Smart Engine, which optimizes your game performance in real time. Or maybe you're a scientist on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery and need a device with a longer battery life and AI-enhanced tools to give you extra time to finish your research. Or you're a musician preparing for your biggest break and need better, faster AI tools to make digital art a breeze, like creating band posters and t-shirt designs. Or you're a soon-to-be graduate needing to catch a recruiter's eye to land that dream job, so you need cutting-edge smart tools to build your portfolio from scratch. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. Plus, college students and teachers get 5% off with an education account on Lenovo.com. A better future is waiting, and it needs you.
Carboni's Pizzeria wants to fuel your playoff party for Game 5 tonight. Visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious pizza and get ready for the playoff run. Find your nearest Carboni's today at carbonispizza.com.
Joe Bonamassa. Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. 534 top of the hour. Rock Talk 1:30. The legendary Mark Rosen will join us as well. That'll be at 2 o'clock. Here's a text message from the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. It says, I want to stay positive, but it's difficult. For one, my checking account is down to $65,000. Also, I have a lingering thought that at roughly 12:02 tomorrow, Robert John's estate will receive some of that mailbox money he so richly deserves. And that brings up a very controversial text message I received from Tenna B earlier today. Says, issue for tomorrow. Ingrid has a preschool concert. I won't be to work until probably 11:45-ish, which won't give me time to do a Sad Eyes montage. No! What time is the concert?
That's at 10:30.
You could show up here about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Slap it together if you have a real loyalty and a dedication to the montage. I mean, you could. I mean, it's technically you could.
Well, I'm trying to ask around. If someone can just put in highlights for me, I can just do it. I can try it live, right?
Well, you've done it before and you've been brilliant.
But I need someone to be here tonight or be here tomorrow morning. I've inquired, have not received a text back yet.
You know what? You know what doing a montage on the fly is like? It's sort of like being a trapeze artist without a net. It's that dangerous because I mean you're flying by the seat of you're winging it basically. Which I don't know if winging it's your strength. It is for me. It's what I do.
Yeah.
But you've done it before. You've slapped it.
We used to always do them that way.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not. You could have fooled me. You're better at it than you're even better than I thought. Then I thought those were always.
I mean, it's been a while since I've done it live, but
well, we got to try it. We could just find some.
I need someone to get the highlights in.
Well, they're going to be low lights is what they'll be.
Well, exactly.
Just find some old ones from Garnett. It doesn't really matter. Will it really matter at that point?
I could just play Game 1, Game 4 highlights.
Yeah, that's exactly, because it's really, the bottom line is we just have to end the season with Sad Eyes. So we'll have a montage for you with Robert John. It might not be real accurate as far as the who, what, why, where, and when, but it really doesn't matter, does it? So... How
negative was my text, though, just assuming it'd be Sad Eyes?
Yeah, well, I was going to say
right?
something. Yeah, right. It's like, so again, I think you're, when I basically said earlier, I just don't have a good feeling about it, you were like, well, what kind of attitude is that? But you had the same exact attitude in your text before me. You're also thinking along the same lines I am. One other note on pencils, it's been very controversial. Someone said their son or daughter was asked to bring a mechanical pencil to school for a test. Mechanical pencils are the worst.
We're coming.
Have you ever used a mechanical?
I'm trying to think of what a mechanical pencil is.
Well, that's the one where you press the eraser on the top. And
I hate those.
Oh, they're the worst. And they're terrible for crossword puzzles because they break all the time.
They fall apart nonstop.
Yeah. You try to write with them and it snaps.
Why does anyone use those?
I don't know.
Other than I guess you don't have to sharpen them?
That's apparently the issue. But they don't work. They're awful. They break all the time. Like you say, if you press even slightly too hard, it snaps. Then I don't like them at all. I'm anti-mechanical pencil.
That's the camp you're going to be in?
That's the camp I'm in.
Okay.
That's the camp I'm in. So there you go. On the Paul Allen Project, at the end of the program, I was in talking with Nordo and listening to PA. And I think, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'll do it anyways. I think he said the difference between Alexander, SGA, and Ant is SGA is the respect of the officials, and Ant does not. There might be some truth to that. I don't know. I've not watched. I mean, it doesn't seem like SGA gets called for fouls often, but when he does, I've not seen him complain too much. The times where he does flop and doesn't get the fouls not called on the opposition, it doesn't seem like he whines too much. We do know that Ant is, I mean, he's had more technical fouls, right, than anybody in the league, right? He tends to express his disappointment or his maybe even his disagreement with the officials, or maybe even his anger with the officials. And I, tend to be, officials are only human as well. You ride a guy enough, maybe use some 4-letter words and basically say your grandma wears army boots. I can see where you can go, okay. And this isn't right, but I would suppose there are officials who have at times said, we ain't getting no calls from you tonight, buddy boy. You disrespect me like that, you ain't getting none. And they don't say that, but that's what they're thinking. But I don't think that's the difference between the two players. I think for me, the biggest difference is SGA has a mid-range shot. Ant doesn't. Now, Ant has in the past. It seems like they've gotten away from that. It seems like
he's gone deeper.
Yes, he either takes a 3-point shot or he tries to go downhill, as they say. And they're both effective, and he's very good at them. But I mentioned this earlier when you mentioned, and Sales Guy mentioned, that SGA was 13 for 29 from the floor, and I said, well, that can't be right. He's got to be like 27 for 29 because he never misses a shot. That's what it always appears. And as you pointed out, it just seemed that way because they always got the rebound and scored. But it seems like when he does that shot, that little jab step fadeaway, it goes all the time. And I know I'd heard somewhere in the past few years when they break down the sabermetrics and the analytics that shooting a 3-point shot is just better because not only is it worth 1 more point than a 2, but if you shoot if you're a high volume 3-point shooting team and your guys are on, you're going to score a lot of points, and that's the way you run guys out of the gym. But if they're not giving you the 3-point, or 3-pointers are more difficult to get, if they're smothering you or giving you the 3 and you're not on, and they're like Ant says, they're filling the gaps of the paint with 3-4 players, and I can't get there. Well, then you have to come up with something else. And that's when you come up with a mid-range jumper, I think.
I don't think they're giving him anything. I mean, that's the thing is like, it's easy right now to pile on Ant because whenever a team is losing the playoffs, it's easiest to just go after the superstar, especially if the superstar is not putting up 30, 40 points.
Right.
When I watch Ant with the ball, I watch elite defense guarding him from Oklahoma City, right? We didn't see that from LA. We did not see that from Golden State, where Ant can basically get what he wants. Like, as good as people might think Anthony Edwards is, he is facing Anthony Edwards level defense on the other side.
Right.
And they went into game 4 saying, we are going to take Ant out. We're going to take Julius Randle out, beat us elsewhere. Now the Wolves at least offensively did beat them elsewhere in that game.
They almost won the game. Yeah.
I don't know if they can do that another 3 games where they're counting on DiVincenzo to carry the load offensively.
Correct.
I just think they are playing an elite defensive team that's saying we are going to take that guy out. And so I don't think it's hey, he's got to change and shoot a mid-range thing. Every time he has the ball, he looks like he's being smothered by a defender with one or two more guys helping, and he's being forced to throw and pass the ball.
Do you think Jordan, Kobe et al. Ever faced a smothering defense as good as the Thunders? Because those guys, I think, were probably doubled up on, and they're all timers. Your very best players, I think, find a way to score. Or is the Thunder defense that good?
I would say one, Ant's not on Kobe or Jordan's level yet.
Correct.
Two, I would agree. I don't know if Jordan and Kobe ever saw Oklahoma City level defense.
That could be.
And three, Jordan had a Pippen to go to. Kobe had a Shaq to go to. Does Anthony Edwards have that? It looked like Julius Randle was for a good chunk of this playoffs. It doesn't look like it right now.
He's got, I guess you're right.
Like I said, in the last game, I get it. He didn't score a lot of points, but he took what the defense gave him, which was, hey, I got to hit DiVincenzo in the corner for a three here. And they scored a bunch of points. Offense was not the issue. It was defense.
But if you're going to get to that, everybody wants to come in. Remember a couple of years ago, they were doing that side. They put the half of each face of Jordan and Ant next to each other. Basically, people were already ordaining him as the next Michael Jordan, as the best player in the league. Everybody was so excited about him. And I guess my point I'm asking is, if you are going to get to that level, do you need to find a way to take over games even when an elite defense is?
Well, does coaching need to help in that regard?
Well, and that's a good point, too.
I'm not going to act like I'm a basketball X's and O's guy. But every time they're trying to go through Ant, he's starting with the ball. He's got, is there a way to maybe have him do a little stiff?
Brilliant.
Reggie Miller didn't always start with the ball. He'd have multiple guys set picks for him. He'd run. He'd get to the 3-point line. He'd receive a pass from somebody, hit the trade. Occasionally, you got to do that to try to get Ant open, right? You screen away from the ball, and Conley distributes it to him. I don't know. There's got to be a way to, and it's challenging because they're playing a tough defense.
And that's why I sort of rolled my eyes, shrugged my shoulders, and shook my head when they were doing this storyline about last year. Ant slayed the Dragon, that is Joker. Then he slayed LeBron James and Doncic, and then he slayed Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler. And it's not really. It wasn't just him. There were others that helped. And if we're going with that, then he's failing miserably in slaying SGA. If you want to play that game and do that, and I tend to agree with you, that was brilliant analysis. And the best part is you were doing it while rubbing your dirty little hockey gloves together. But I think you're right. I think the defense does have a lot to do with it. I'm also hearing, well, he's only 23 and SGA is, 25 or 26. The Ant is only 23 is true. He's got a birth certificate to prove it, I think. But he's been in the league 5 years, too. Sometimes that
he's been in playoff runs.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So the idea that, he's just young and he's naive and he's a greenhorn, he's wet behind the ears, that's nonsense. He's not. Now,
he can still mature and develop.
Yes, correct. But it's to say that just because he's 2 years younger than SGA, age-wise, because SGA was drafted in 2018, I believe. Matter of fact, wasn't he drafted and traded the same night? I think the Clippers drafted him, if I'm not mistaken. And he was traded on draft night. What year was Ant drafted? Was he 2019 or 2020?
SGA was drafted 11th overall by the Charlotte Hornets in the 2018 NBA draft before being traded to the LA Clippers that same night.
That's right. Traded to the Clippers.
In his rookie year, he was named the NBA All-Rookie second team before being traded to the Thunder. And they traded him after his rookie season.
Yeah.
Oh.
How bad is that? When was Ant drafted? So that was 2018 you said he was drafted?
Yes.
And Ant was Ant 2020 or 2019? Or was it even later than that? I don't think so. I don't think it was 2021. He's been in the year 5 years. So it'd probably been 2020.
He was drafted 2020.
Yeah. So again, that's 2 years, and that 2 years of mileage in the NBA certainly makes a difference. But the idea that he's just, he's played in the league after 5 years, and part of it is, and I know it's a complex game. Again, I'm a casual, but some of the comments we hear from Ant about he had the one that I've brought up several times. He goes, well, they don't play zone like that at AAU. And, you know, I don't know how to score. I don't know what to do when they're packing the lane like that. And I think you're right. I think coaching has something to do with that. And apparently, we had a quote from Finch earlier this year. I don't know quite how long ago it was, but Finch was very pleased and impressed that Ant was spending more time with him breaking down film, which is what you want to see from a young guy. I think a lot of the young guys probably, when they first come into they're uber talented, right? And they've dominated on every level, so they get to the NBA and they just think, well, why wouldn't I do that here? And then they find out everybody here is really good. You know, all of these guys here were the stars of their AAU teams. So it gets to be more difficult. So that you do have to spend more time studying film and tendencies and what players do or don't do, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and what teams do to shut you down. Because these guys were all, when they were playing in the Howard Pulleys and the Pop Warners and AAUs, I mean, they were just they could pretty much do whatever they wanted. I'm sure there were times they would face other strong players. I remember traveling with Pete, and I'd see some of these AAU teams, and some of these guys are just exceptional. But you just go, well, these guys are cut above everybody else I've been watching. They're just so good. And a lot of them was just because they were so physically superior to other guys, big, strong, could run the floor, that they could even cover up some defensive deficiencies, and even maybe not being the best shooters in the world just because they shot a lot, and they were just, it was like almost men amongst boys, right? But, and so I like the idea that but I wonder if Ant's basketball IQ maybe isn't as far along as maybe a Shea with the 2 years, and maybe other players as well, because it seems like he gets perplexed and puzzled. But what I really liked earlier in the season was it was after that game where he was shut down, and he just said, well, this isn't any fun. I like to shoot. I can't do anything. They're just double. Then the very next game, he went off for 53 points. The next game. So he figured something out there. So he's got it in him, and they'll need it tonight. And
I'm more concerned with Julius Randle than I am Anthony Edwards.
Well, no, absolutely. But I don't know if Randle, I don't trust him now anymore. I guess I'm expecting more out of him. I guess I want him to do one of those SGA or Jordan-like things where it's like, climb on my back. It's time for me to figure out a way to do it. But no, you're right. He's the biggest issue. You have your, every team's got everybody loves using the Batman and Robin thing, right? Okay, you're right. I guess that's as good an analogy as you get. You got to have somebody else. You can't do it alone. There's no way. You mentioned Jordan had Pippen, Kobe had Shaq. Everybody's got another guy, a sidekick, because if they have decided we're going to shut you down and let somebody else beat you, and if that works, you're donezo. But if all of a sudden, the other guy that you've decided you're going to let him beat you, and he does. Well, then all of a sudden it's like, well, now we can't just guard Ant. We've got to pay attention to Randle, and then both guys get their opportunities, I guess.
I think the one thing Anthony Edwards could learn from Shea, and probably even learn from Jimmy Butler as well, when we saw in that series, even though he didn't have a great series. Those two, I think sometimes Ant gets in trouble, especially because of the defense he's playing against right now, where he feels like everything's going to be fast-paced. Everything's frenetic, and then he seems like he's just kind of gets himself out of control at times, whereas Shea knows how to slow it down. Jimmy Butler knows how to slow it down. I think you got to be able to have that ability to play slow here, play fast here, and it just seems like Ant at times is just one speed.
Yep. And a lot of those teams like to play that fast game transition. I think the Wolves get caught up in that sometimes too. I'm kind of old school. I kind of like half court game, but that seems to be most teams want to run. A number of people are. And I know.
Well, I mean, the Wolves are having to run because when they get into their half court, their defense is too good. And
right.
Anthony Edwards doesn't have any room.
Right.
So right now, when he gets any space transition, he is pushing the pace because that's the only time he has a little bit of freedom.
Yeah, I tend to agree. A couple of text messages, about MJ. It took him a few years to break through to the finals, and he didn't win a title as eighth. I know. I understand all that, but that doesn't help us right now. It just doesn't. I mean, that's a fact. It took Jordan until his, I guess, eighth. I didn't know if it was seventh or eighth or ninth, whatever, to win an NBA title. That doesn't make it any easier to accept because you can make those kinds of comparisons all the time. Rosen likes doing it with the Yankees. Well, the Yankees haven't won forever. Well, okay, that's great, but I'm not talking about the Yankees. I'm talking about the Twins, or I'm talking about Ant. And again, Tedeby's right. Ant can't do it all on his own, and this is a brilliant defense that they're looking at. And you did see Ant get the ball, and you could tell he wanted to shoot, but he didn't have the time because there was somebody in his face immediately, and so he got the ball to the open players. So, yeah, it's not impossible to come back from 3-1. I told you we weren't going to do a whole lot of cheerleading. I mean, build this thing together. I hope so. Yeah, I mean, if they could win tonight, that obviously makes it. You go, okay, we get to come back home, but you got to remember, I'm not a big believer in home court advantages. I'm really not. I mean, I know they can help. And it helped the Wolves in Game 3, but it didn't in Game 4. And we've seen what happened in the East.
In the playoffs last year, the Wolves have been pretty good on the road.
Yes. Pacers won first 2 games on the road, and then the Knickerbockers won Game 3 on the road. Now, last night, it reverted and went the other way where the Pacers won, and that was devastating for the Knicks. They climbed back into that game and got it to 6 on a couple of occasions, but They had a couple of costly turnovers late, and Bodega Cat. Did you see any of it? Did you see Bodega Cat writhing on the ground when he had a knee-to-knee collision with a player? It almost looked like he was milking it to me. I mean, again, I shouldn't say that, but because then he got to the bench and he came back in the game. The way he was writhing around the ground, I thought, well, they're going to have to amputate his leg. His career's over. He was limping on it at the end of Game 3. Yeah, he was. So I guess I shouldn't say that. But anyway, it was just, it wasn't good for the Knickerbockers. And I don't know, Teneby, I look for storylines. I was hoping Knickerbockers against the Wolves. I guess it could still happen, but both the Knickerbockers and the Wolves are down 3-1. It's not looking good. No, it's not looking good. And that would have been fun, right? Tibbsy and Big Meow taking on Randall and DiVincenzo.
All sorts. It would have big been market, small market. Yeah. And just the guys that were traded for each other. Obviously, there were questions about the trade. Who got the better of the deal? Looked like early in the year, certainly it was New York, because Big Meow was playing very well, Bodega Cat. And Randall was having trouble getting acclimated. And then DiVincenzo didn't start out very well, but as of late, I guess until these last 2 playoff games, Randall, when he came back from the injury in March, has been simply brilliant. Maybe the best player on the club. So we'll see. We'll do this. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Teneby's got 5-3-4 for us, and I think he has a tease. Yeah, I guess we'll continue the Ant conversation because Charles Barkley had some interesting comments about Ant.
Let your imagination take flight with an AI-powered PC from Lenovo. Whether it's creating digital art, designing new software, or building a portfolio for a future career, our PCs are powered by Intel Core Ultra processors to help students unlock smarter learning and unleash their creativity. That's the power of Lenovo with Intel inside. All you have to do is choose the one that fits your passion. Head to Lenovo.com to shop AI PCs and find your perfect companion. Plus, get 5% off when you create an education account.
Some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com, ODOO.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Pittman, Chairman and CEO of iHeartMedia. On this week's episode of Math and Magic, I'm sitting down with the one and only Bobby Bones. We're exploring the power of audio.
Yeah, I don't fit into one specific hole. I think that is what endeared me to listeners. That's why I'm here now, because I talk to people that grew up like me, have sensibilities like me, and have loyalties like me.
Listen to Math and Magic, stories from the frontiers of marketing on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.